We are live once again. Historic Sim Racing Organization presents round number 4 of the IROC series at Daytona Beach, Florida. I'm Jason White. I will be your commentator, and I'm joined, as always, by Richard Wilkes. Richard, good evening.
Good evening, Jason. Good evening, everyone.
Goodness. All right, so this is the final round of the IROC series. The warm-up just concluded. I think everybody would agree that the real interest in this race is going to be, can Steve Parker beat Yves Placé or the other way around? Richard, what is your thought on this?
Well, the championship is between them two. They were moderately favorites at the beginning because they have a lot of experience with the 10 top cars, like you guys say. And indeed, it's very hard to predict because this is a big oval. It will be a drafting race, and it will be anybody's race.
Yeah, it appears that they've located the horns on the cars, so...
Since they're having fun with them, that's for sure.
Yes. All right, so we're going to go through the grid real quickly here. So, row 1, we have Steve Parker, and Yves Placé is in second place. Of course, we want to point out that this is because of the points being where they are. Parker's in the lead with 35, and Yves is next with 31. Row 2 is Ole Marius Mervold and Gerard Rion. Row 3, Philippe Martinelli and Richard Coxon. In the last row, Ben Paulett and a newcomer, Jan Kowalski, who qualifies for this round on the basis of being second in the F5000 championship. So, we're at Daytona International Speedway. This is a 40-lap race, which translates into 100 miles. Definitely going to be a slipstreaming battle, I would guess here, Richard.
Oh yes, and the quality of the field is still top-notch. We have here people who fought for the win or won championships all around HSO. So it will be a very interesting race in the fact that a lot of people here are not in their element. A slipstream race is by default a very tactical race, and it will be interesting to see who will judge this to perfection, because that's what this is all about.
All right, so they're coming through turns 3 and 4 now. And we'll see. Let's go back to the front here. The green car is Steve Parker. And the pace car coming now down to opening of the pit road, and we should be underway very quickly here. Off into the pits. 8 cars.
And it's green.
And it's green! Race is underway! And look at Steve, he got an excellent jump. And
yes,
we already...
He's squeezing Ole there.
Ole trying to get alongside of Yves, but just didn't get it done. Now, that's going to be an interesting thing as we go through this race today. If cars fight side by side like that, they're basically playing right into the hands of the guys in front of them. Ooh! Steve got a little bit onto the apron there, almost took... oh my goodness, now you've got Ole down in the apron already. There's high drama in this final round of the IROC. Ole Marius Mervold down the inside alongside of Placé, but he has to duck back inside. God, that was really, really close quarters there. I mean, you can't get on the apron here without something bad happening generally. But as ever, Steve Parker leads the opening lap.
Yes, it's a big dip down the apron. It's not a safe place to be unless you're on the back straight. And Ole was taking his chances there, and Steve sure find out the worst way that you shouldn't go down there around these long corners.
Looking back now from Steve to Yves Placé.
Now, Richard Coxon is now attacking Ole.
Richard Coxon making a return to this series. although I believe he was in the last one. Ole is dropping back now. It appears that Ole lost the draft there. This is old school NASCAR style racing here, where you really need to stay in the draft. If you get out of line just for a second, you're going clear to the back.
Yes,
And you can't expect somebody to let you back in. Like,
Oh,
here, here's an opening for you. That's likely not going to happen.
Usually this kind of Volvo racing plays into the hands of Richard, and look at him going for second place already.
Richard alongside of Eve. Oh my goodness, he
Ooh,
nudged Eves into the
pushed
gray.
Eves just
That's-
enough so that
And now,
Eves would,
man, so Eves gets shuffled back into the order.
yes, he pushed Eves just enough. Maybe it wasn't conscious, but it was just enough so that Eves would lose the toe and fall back into fourth place.
Riding on board with Coxon now, and he's got Rion in his back, looking at his mirror now.
Steve Parker is once again doing what he did at Michigan, leading and covering that inside line. Ooh, Place seems to have a problem. He's going for the pits.
Oh, it is. It's true. Yes, Place is going for the pits. He might have had some kind of it didn't look like he hit the wall there. In any case,
Does he have a puncture or something?
maybe, possibly.
Doesn't seem to be.
He's in the pits right now, so apparently maybe he punctured a tire. Well, this is disastrous for him. This essentially means that I mean, unless he well, let's not speak too soon, because if a yellow were to come out, he could come all the way around and still be in the lead lap. So where is he now would be the question.
He rejoined the track now.
Yeah, but he didn't lose a lap, which is
Not
very
yet.
that is very critical. If he had lost a lap, he would have been in serious trouble, because then he basically, the chances of winning the championship would have been next to zero. But now that he's gotten out ahead, his next, he doesn't have the benefit of running with anybody in a slipstream. But
That's true.
But if a yellow happens to come out, if somebody has an accident, he can come all the way back around and to the back of the pack, and he'd be right back in this thing. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
I wonder if he forgot to top the fuel of the car after qualifying.
I don't think so, because these cars, remember, don't
Oh, yes,
qualify in
they're-
traditional sense. They're
Yes,
already...
they have a fixed fuel. That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
So that can't be it. My guess is he must have punctured a tire. Perhaps he did something that caused it. Oh, goodness. Well, Coxon now going...
Richard
Oh,
was
man.
tired of following Steve there, and he wanted to see an opening or to pursue an opening, but it wasn't there. Not for
No,
long,
it
at
just
least.
wasn't going to work, unfortunately.
But behind him, Gerard was trying around the outside on Ole. Ooh, Richard going wide.
See, these two basically now are Richard is sizing up Steve. Ooh, you can flirt with the apron down there when it's just on the backstretch
In the back
usually.
straight,
Yeah, but
yeah.
as soon as you go into a turn like this, it's not a good idea. So the order:
Richard's
Steve Parker, Richard Coxon, and Ole Marius Mervold, the top three right now. Oh, Richard sweeps the outside. I think he might have made a slight mistake there, and it's just the opening that Ole was looking for. There he goes, down the inside, taking second place, and he's right behind Parker now.
Yeah, Richard's in trouble. Everybody's following the
Oh,
train. He
man,
has
the freight
nowhere-
train goes by. Richard now shuffles back to fourth place, and Gerard is now in third. Oh, and there's a mistake from Mervold. He slips up high, and that gives Rion a chance to go to second place.
And now
Gerard
it's
Rion
Ole
of
who
Brussels,
is not
Belgium,
following
goes
the
to
train.
second.
And Ole drops all the way to fourth.
And look at how far back. Oh, goodness, Gerard going for the lead on the inside.
Yes, but once again, he had to go all the way down to the apron, and that didn't went well.
No, it didn't. It's interesting how people are trying different lines here, and it doesn't seem to pan out. Now, you'll notice, too, these four have broken away. Oh, this is interesting. Now we have two competing freight trains going on here. We'll see what happens here if the high line works better than the low line. Mervold still seems to he's drifting up into up towards the wall. He's going to have to watch that, especially coming off of this corner. The cars are extremely squirrely as you exit 2.
Yes, and look at this. We have two cars just pushing the front car. They're both pushing the front car there.
This is classic IROC racing right here. And not just because of the era of the cars, but the nose-to-tail bump draft. It was made famous by the IROC series. Now, it looks like Rion's going to have a go at it, but it seems like he just can't get along. He gets to a point where he can pull out alongside, but then here's exactly the problem. If you stick your neck out and try to do that, now somebody behind you has an opportunity to come forward, and there Coxon goes right back to second place.
Yes, Coxon is following Steve Parker's draft, so he has an advantage there. But now he drifts wide, and he almost lost the toe, but he regained it. And now he's looking around the outside of Steve, and I would suspect he will lose second place in a hurry here.
Yeah, he will. They're going to go shuffling back. Now, I noticed that just ahead of this battle, you can't really see them in the turn, but if you look down a straightaway, you should be able to see it. Down the straightaway, it's very faint, but you can see Yves Placé entering in the turn. So these guys are catching Yves. Not at a huge clip, but it's basically they're benefiting from the slipstream. 4 of them running together are faster than one car by itself.
Yeah, so if nothing like a yellow flag happens, I believe Yves will lose a lap eventually.
Eventually. So really, Yves is depending on somebody to make a big mistake, and so far the field is pretty strung out. We've got these 4 running together, and then we've got a massive gap back to Jan Kowalski and Philippe Martinelli, who are running 5th and 6th. Then after that, we have Ben Paulett, who is running in 7th, and he's pretty much by himself at the moment. And Yves, of course, running at the end of the field right now. Rion taking another look on the outside. Let me check the lap count here. 10 laps down, so we're a quarter of the distance through the race. It's a 100-mile race. These are sprint-type races, and speaking of 100-mile races, we've got 2 of those coming next week, don't we, Mr. Wilkes?
Yes, so we have the Ontario 100-mile qualifiers for the USAC series. It will be unusual, at least for any other types of series standards, because we will have one race with half the field and another race with the other half of the field.
Yes, and the qualifying results from just straight qualifying by yourself, that will end up determining where you start in the California 500, which is the following week. Now we've got another of these competing draft things going on here.
Everybody seems to trade places behind Steve, but Steve holds on to the first place by the mere fact that he has been hugging that inside line all the way around this track.
Yes, Steve has been driving a very defensive posture the whole way because he realizes that this track favors being on the inside line. There you can just see briefly that was Yves Placé. Unfortunately, he's nothing happens. He's likely going to be lapped by the field. And if that's the case, then Parker may find himself in a situation where all he has to do is just cruise, and he'll have a championship to his credit. But we will see. It's only a quarter distance at this point. Rion tucked right underneath Parker. The other thing that you would consider in a situation like this is, there's no points paid to lead right now. The tactically advantageous thing for some of these guys is to just stay behind, although, whoa, yeah, Rion just slipped a bit high there, and that gave just the opening for Coxon to slip into second place. And now it looks like Mervold's going to take a shot. Well, that was a foreshortened view. This is
the
interesting.
Problem with following the leader here is that, look, either you push around Steve the whole track, and then you risk doing what Coxon just did, you try to go to the outside of him because he's hugging the inside line all along, and then you lose all the places and go back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah, so now Coxon finds himself shuffled back and forth. Oh, no, Gerard better not do too many more of those.
Yes, that's when we have a DNF. Ben Paulet just retired.
Oh, no.
I wonder what happened with him. This car seemed intact, maybe a mechanical problem.
Yeah, he came into the pits, this is the replay, and stopped. Apparently he just came into the pits and stopped replay on the replay. So he apparently just had either had damage and couldn't continue. Gerard is flirting with that apron a bit more than I would be doing in that oil blue car.
Yeah, I believe my best bet is that he's getting frustrated.
Yeah, probably. But if you're Yves Placé, I mean, he's not conscious of the battle that's going on here, but he might be thinking to himself, "Yeah, go ahead, you know, you guys have fun, because if something goes wrong, I get to come all the way back around again."
That's true.
Oh, Richard,
Coxon going
way
really,
high,
really wide.
way high into the marbles. Thankfully,
I don't think he touched the wall, but he definitely lost a bit of time.
Oh, he lost a lot of time. Now the danger for Richard is he's going to, if he doesn't want to lose the slipstream in front of him. Here he's following Ole. It doesn't look like he dropped back far enough to lose the draft. Coming out of turn 4. One other thing that we'd like to mention, we mentioned the USAC races. Also, as soon as this race is over, we will be throwing open the entry list for the Castrol 1000 at Kyalami, right, Richard?
That's true, and it has been a popular race so far, at least in terms of form action. And we have a lot of cars to distribute. It will be a 6-hour, 1,000 kilometers race, like you said, with the Group C mod. So it should be really interesting.
Somebody's beeping their horn. I'm not sure what that's about.
By the way, also in terms of races, this Wednesday we have the third race of the BRDC C2 Championship race.
That's right.
And I think Richard is unfortunately losing the toe.
He is. Yeah, he's at the point now where he's lost the toe. And you can see that, Richard now is down in the apron. Oh, no! Richard spins! Maybe he can recover. Oh! Richard just glanced the wall. Oh, no! Underneath the camera thing and into the barrier. Oh. Well,
that's his race.
That's his race. Now, the question is, did he trigger a yellow?
That's a good question. He didn't stop on the track, so
I'm tempted to
guess not.
I'm tempted to think, no, I do not believe he did. Everyone's still at speed. So, no yellow.
And Placé is getting dangerously close of losing that crucial one lap.
Yeah, I mean, that was basically Yves' chance to circulate around and get back into contention, and they're getting closer and closer. So it was a 4-car battle, is now a 3-car battle. Riding on the hood of Gerard Rion. If we look back, there is Ole Marius Mervold getting very close.
You know, when Steve's still leading, he already led, almost half of this race.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, maybe people are being a bit more gentle than usual, because I would have guessed that at this point someone would have just given a slight nudge to Parker, at least around the corner, so he would go a bit wide and relinquish that lead.
Well, God knows that's a tactic that's used sometimes in stock car racing, and racing purists may not like to admit it, but sometimes that is what happens. You just nudge someone a little bit to get them out of the way. I think that's probably more of a technique that's used on short tracks. Now, Gerard tucked right up behind Parker, and we can clearly see now, looking down the track, Yves Poisset.
Yes, they are basically 2 seconds away from, or 1 second away now from lapping Yves Poisset. And that might prove to be an event here, because if they cannot lap him safely, or if he doesn't move just right out of the way immediately, he might interfere with his lapping.
Possibly, yeah.
And look how Gerard is so close to Steve, and he's actually pushing him now.
Yes, he is. Absolutely. Oh, well, Steve hugging that lower line, he does that really, really well. Oh boy, yeah. Gerard looks like he's going to go for the inside here. That could be him thinking in terms of road racing, thinking that he can box in Parker, but it doesn't quite work that way in a big super speedway like this. Sometimes it does, not often. And now,
yes.
No, now it's like essentially. It's almost like, I mean, if this were an actual IROC race, you'd have people teaming up and giving hand signals, but they're... Oh, no!
Ooh, that was a dangerous nudge there.
Yeah, very dangerous, but Steve's okay. Gerard did some damage to his front corner, not the kind that would necessarily slow him up. But now, this is a bad situation because he's got Mervold alongside, well, not anymore, but that caused... Steve to pull out a bit of a gap, because anytime you have cars running side by side behind that, and now basically Poisset is ripe for the picking. We'll see if he gives him any trouble. We don't know, also I would add, if Yves may be nursing some kind of damage that we're not aware of.
That might be a possibility, but look, now Steve is boxed in behind Yves, and Yves is not giving way. So now Gerard got all the way up to Steve once again. And
oh, look at that!
Him.
Gerard Rion goes out in front of this IROC race, a guy who started as an alternate, and look at that, he's using Poisset's car, which is a lap down, to get in front of Steve. Unbelievable.
Yeah, he was pushing Yves Poisset all the way back, all the way down to the front straight. And with that, he managed to edge out Steve.
Now, Steve clearly is not enjoying this, but now he's getting shuffled back behind Mervold, so he goes back to third place. This is a very interesting scenario, one that I frankly would not have envisioned.
Yeah, and look, Yves is not giving way here.
No,
he doesn't want to lose that lap.
No, he does not want to lose that lap. He knows what it means. He knows that if he gives up that lap, he's essentially forfeiting the race and the championship to Parker. The way that the points table works is it's 12 points for first, 11 for second, 10 for third, and on down the line. So, with 35 points right now, if Parker finished where he is now, he would then have 45. And Yves, who is running in 6th place, would have 7 points, which would give him 38. So he would lose the championship in that situation, the way things are right now, even with Steve dropping back those 2 places.
Now everybody's following Yves.
Yeah. I think we can conclude that Yves' car is basically sound, and that really the only reason he must have come in there was to change a tire.
It's the only explanation I can find.
No, I mean, it wouldn't be fuel, it wouldn't be damage. Oh goodness, there was a piece there. It was red, so we can conclude that must have been from
Martinelli's car.
Martinelli's car, and Martinelli is indeed in the pits. Yeah, he came into the pits a while ago, so he's, I don't know, it looks as if he must have brushed the wall or had some kind of contact with somebody. Rion continues to lead the race with Mervold in second.
Yes, and Yves, although he's leading this group, don't forget he's almost a lap down.
Almost. He is on the tail end of the lead lap. I'm not sure. I mean, I would think that Gerard and
Martinelli.
Martinelli. Okay, this is interesting because Martinelli came out of the pit, and he's not in a position like Place where he doesn't want to lose. He's already lost a lap, so there's really no incentive to him causing a problem. And indeed, Martinelli pulls down to the inside to get out of the way very sportingly because he doesn't want to become a factor in this battle.
Yes, his car is still damaged, I can see, so maybe he will retire anyways. His car is not going straight at all.
We have 24 laps complete, so we're over half distance. The official cause of Richard Coxon's retirement was suspension damage. But we saw that he impacted several things. Okay, now, Rion is now going on the outside, trying to get by. That might not have been a smart thing to do, because now Steve is coming back, and oh my goodness! Contact. That was incredibly close. Yeah, what I was going to say is I don't think Rion or Mervold are quite they're probably not really conscious of the points situation that's going on here. In any case, Parker is back to second place now. The car the blue car number 4 is the car that's actually in the lead. For those of you who are just joining us, Parker is in second place in the... Oh no! Rion spins out! He hits the wall! Oh no!
And Philippe Martinelli was a confirmed retirement, and now we risk having Gerard as a confirmed retirement as well. This car seems to be heavily damaged.
And now this is going to be critical, because now they're coming back to the line. And Eves...
Yes, he will trigger a yellow flag because he stopped there on the track.
Eves is in front. Eves is in front, and they're going down the straightaway. So if the yellow flag is triggered now, that means Eves gets to go all the way around again.
This will also help Jan Kowalski, who was riding all alone there.
Mm-hmm.
And now will be able to also join this group. This is if indeed there is a yellow flag. We still don't have confirmation of that.
No, they're still running at speed. I don't think there's a yellow flag. I just checked as a matter of sanity, and flag rules are full on. So he must have exited the track prior to that, which is really strange. In any case...
Well, he is a retirement with suspension damage. So that's that for Gerard, unfortunately. So now Steve Parker is back into the lead and being pursued by Ole. And they both still have Yves Placé in front of them.
I just cut to a shot of Parker looking right at the back of Yves Placé. I just got... All I can see is the rear end of a Camaro.
So Kowalski is around half a lap behind this group. Although he is in front of Yves Placé by half a lap. So I don't think he will change his position until the end of this race.
Yeah, probably not.
But the fight for the win is basically now between Steve and Ole.
Basically,
so
yes.
Placé being the roadblock that they both have to face.
Placé also is thinking, you know, if something were to happen to Steve, then he could score points. So he knows that there's no real technical reason why he should let Steve by.
Well, let's not forget that with Gerard and Philippe's retirements, Yves is now 4th in this race.
It's true. So with those retirements, I'm going to do some quick math here for our viewers. If Steve were to win the race, which he would now, that would give him 12 points, which would give him a total of 47. Yves in 4th place would get 9 points, which would bring him to 40 even. So that scenario still shows Steve winning the championship by 7 points. I'm betting that Eaves wishes he could take the early part of this race back and do it again, because if he just hadn't, he clearly has a strong car. If he had just not had that incident early on that caused him to have to go to the pits, then he would have been in this fight. We would have been going right down to the wire.
Yes, it is an unfortunate situation for him and for the spectacle.
Yeah.
But look at this.
Oh!
Looking down the inside there.
Ole trying to Cale Yarborough on Parker. Parker playing the part of Donnie Allison. But that didn't quite work, and now Ole drifts a bit high. Not enough to lose the slipstream.
But they both don't seem able to overtake Eaves at this point, who continues to soldier on in front of those two,
Yeah.
which actually makes the race of those two much more unpredictable, because Steve doesn't have clear road ahead of him, and it's very, very easy to let the front go a bit and just run a bit high around here if you're following someone else.
Meanwhile, we have Jan Kowalski, who is driving the number 15 car, a late race addition to this series, and he's running in 3rd place. A really nice drive, considering he's never driven these cars before.
Yes, it's true, but Jan Kowalski, he's a competent driver, and he drives regularly in our USAC series, so he's no stranger, at least at this point now, he's no stranger anymore to ovals.
All right, so we have 9 laps to go now, 8 laps to go in this race. Man, this race just flew by.
Look at that. Steve is trying to go on the inside of Placé finally. And
Placé goes way high, and so, well, there goes that. So now, basically, the race is between... The championship is essentially decided, more or less, and it comes down to Mervold and Parker. So can Steve Parker put a beautiful capstone on an IROC championship, or will Ole, Marius Mervold, a Norwegian who had no experience on ovals at the start of this series, could he pull off a Jeff Brabham-style upset here?
Well, he might. I mean, he only has to contend with Steve, and I use the word only with many, many reserves here. Steve, let's not forget, he won the opening race of this series, which was at the Michigan Speedway.
Yes.
It's a very similar track to this one. So he knows how to drive around here, this sort of cars, very, very well.
Well, the one difference I would say between Daytona and Michigan is a track where, with the weight of these cars, you have to lift slightly in the corners. You cannot carry the speed all the way through. Michigan these days is a very different circuit. The banking's it's not the same style of banking that it was before, and the cars are doing, modern stock cars are flirting with 200 miles an hour around that track. But Daytona is a track that you can basically go around with your foot on the floor, and little tiny bumps or nudges can be magnified to an amazing amount, which I think we saw in a couple of instances here. So we are down now to 34 laps completed. We are working lap number 35, so 5 laps to go.
5 laps to go, and Steve went back to his usual routine of hugging the inside line, which will make Ole's life really, really difficult here if he still wants to win this race. But he's surely looking on the outside once again. But Eaves is now very, very close.
Oh, look at this! Ole's on the outside! And this is interesting because Placé is in the unique position of potentially playing spoiler. And he had an opportunity there to slot in behind Mervold and push him to the front. Well, now they're perhaps again, because that's a strategy that could play out here, perhaps. Of course, when this series was run in the 70s and even into the 80s and 90s, the drivers did not use radios. So they were essentially relying on hand signals. But I'll bet if they could hand signal each other at this point, Ole would signal to, and look at that, there it is. He would signal to Place, hey, come with me and let's see if we can push by Steve. Because obviously Place is in no position to win, but I'm sure that he wouldn't mind spoiling the victory for Steve, who's going to snatch the championship from him.
That's possible, although Eve seems to be just following them at this point.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if Ole has something up his sleeve to use on Steve. The laps are taking away here, and he's still in second place. I mean, look, when Steve is going at the front without any car disturbing him, he can ride the inside line around those corners without any problem.
Yep.
While when you are following someone, because you lose just a little bit of the downforce, although these cars have no downforce to speak of, but they gain even more lift. Let's put it this way: if you're following someone, it's really hard to keep that nose down around the corners.
37 laps are complete now, so 3 to go.
3 to go, and once again, Eves moves basically out of the way so that he doesn't overtake or he doesn't get in between those two. And Ole is once again following Steve, and I guess now Steve will go to the inside. Ole has nowhere to go, so it looks like...
Oh, no! Oh, my goodness! Place goes ahead, back onto the leader lap. My goodness, Steve was incredibly lucky to not crash there. The order remains the same, but my goodness, that was incredibly close.
Yeah, I guess there was a misunderstanding there.
Yeah.
Ole was going to one side, Steve was going to the other side when they both touched. And now, Eves is back into the front of this group.
Eves is now back to the outside. I don't know
Eves
what...
is letting them by.
Letting them by again. Maybe he figures he can do more good behind the two, but 38 laps complete. Next time they come by, they will receive 1 lap to go signal. Oh, there's a big dent in the side of Parker's car. Ole down the outside. And now Place is on the inside helping Steve. So it doesn't appear there's any loyalties here at all.
I don't know if even Eves realizes what he's doing, because by following that line, he's indeed helping Steve.
Yeah, he's definitely helping Steve, because the next best thing to following the draft of another car, and slight contact there, is to push somebody from the back. And now we have 1 lap to go, this time by. Show and tell time.
To do something, you will have to do it now.
Yeah, if Ole has any plans to do something, the time is now. He drifts slightly high. You can see the damage to Steve's car. He's got a big giant dent in the back bumper. I wonder where that came from.
But crucially is the one that he has at the front that might reduce his top speed.
Ole had to lift there for a second just to avoid touching Steve.
Now this is the last corner, and I think Steve has it, unless there's something surprising.
Well, Ole's best opportunity was on the backstretch there, and he passed it up. Although he's got a really good, he's chugging coming off, and he's going to be alongside. This could be a photo finish coming to the line. Oh my goodness, they touched going to the line. Ole wins it! Oh my goodness! Unbelievable! What a finish!
I didn't think Ole had the speed there, but I suppose the damage that Steve had played the crucial part here. His car just didn't have the speed to hold on Ole there at the end, and Ole went through.
My
and
goodness!
This was a victory by 0.04 of a second.
Unbelievable. Kowalski finishes 3rd in his IROC debut, which is fantastic too, but what an incredible race. Ole Marius Mervold wins the race, but Steve Parker wins the IROC championship. So that was the IROC series. That goes into the books. What are your thoughts on this series, Richard, which takes the very best of HSO and pits them against each other in 4 races?
Well, if I can say something, I guess this finish proved the level of competition that we had here. I mean, in the last corner of the last lap, Ole was able to snatch the win.
User entered
with
your channel.
For hundreds of a second, and I guess there's
Incredible
nothing
race.
better than this.
Holy Mary! we are being joined now by Alberto Ibanez, and I imagine you saw what we just saw, an incredible finish.
Yeah, truly incredible. It was a great race. It's a pity that many were so early on out of the pack, because it would have been much more close racing, but it was fantastic, amazing finish.
Ole is now doing burnouts against the wall. I'm not entirely sure what that is. Maybe he's trying to do an Alan Kulwicki Polish victory lap. Yes. Well, no, he's doing donuts. Okay. But Ole clearly is very happy because, as we mentioned in the broadcast, he's certainly not a driver who was familiar with ovals to start with. And even though he's taking advantage possibly of damage incurred to Steve there, that was a pretty exciting end to a series that we've had here at HSO. So that pretty much wraps it up here. So we're going to leave the air now because we have plenty of housekeeping to take care of. But thanks very much for watching. Steve Parker wins the IROC Championship, and Ole Marius Mervold wins round 4. So for Richard Wilkes, Alberto Ibanez, this is Jason White saying so long from Daytona Beach, Florida.
So long, everyone.
Bye-bye.